In this video, we're going to be talking about a lot of basic stuff having to do with seed starting. We watch other videos and I think they're great. I love watching the videos, but I'm just going to kind of go through my process. I've got seeds in several stages. We actually have some new seeds to plant, but let's get right on into it.
Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave.
Hello and welcome to the Bowtie, Florida room. It is a windy day outside. We just had those storms come through. I don't know if you saw on Down Home Backyard Gardening, he had a rainstorm. Well, it was the same one got to us here in Destin, Florida. And I'm not doing anything outside because things are blowing everywhere. There's sticks falling out of trees. It's madness out there. But it's okay because we are in the spring. It's time to start planting those seeds, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I want to talk about several things. I do have an outline this video, so hopefully it will be very focused on the points that I'm trying to make. But I just kind of want to talk through the process of starting seeds, growing seedlings, getting them to a point where they're going to be ready to go out in the garden. And I've been doing this a number of years. I'm entering the 6th year of growing things successfully. I've been very unsuccessful in the past, but I can say that I am growing things successfully because we eat regularly from the garden. If we want to eat something out there is growing and we can eat it. And here in Destin, Florida, it's pretty much year-round. There's actually things you can grow year-round in a lot of places. If you're ever wondering what grows in the under 6 feet of snow, well, look at sunchokes. That's another video. Anyway, I got tons of stuff out here, but it all has to do with seeds and seedlings. Yeah, so first thing I want to talk about is what is the seed. Now, obviously, we know what a seed is. It's these little things that come in these little packages. Here's some what is this? Mammoth Russian sunflower seeds. We got a nasturtium seeds. We got you can see a nasturtium seed. These things are pretty monstrous, like almost the size of a pea seed. But we have seeds like this. And you say, what's that? That's a root. This is what we grow turmeric from. And on the same note, this is what we grow ginger from. These are seed roots. These are things that we start plants with. And we have a whole bunch of this stuff sitting in soil, aching to get out, aching to get going. Our soil out there, in fact, I just measured this morning. I'm very excited. Our soil is climbing slowly in temperature, and that is an important thing to keep in mind is what is your soil temperature. We got another video on that. We talked a lot about that in the last raised bed garden tour, so go back and look at that when you're done with this video and see what we're talking about for soil temperature, which interestingly enough, these nasturtium, they're ready to go in. We're going to do another video because we're doing an experiment on these nasturtiums coming up pretty soon. I'm very excited. We've got some special cups that we're going to talk about different ways to grow these nasturtium seeds. I'm curious about some things myself, and I like to do experiments when I can get my A.D.D. brain focused long enough to do that. We've got some water here. We're going to talk a little bit about fish fertilizer and a few things. I actually picked up a peppermint plant from where did I get this? Did I get that from my local Ace Hardware? They had peppermint out, and if you've watched my garden tours, you know I'm out of peppermint. I lost all my peppermint, partially due to poor care, partially due to the loofah that went crazy out here. That was the whole drama from last year. Loofah everywhere, and it killed a few of my last peppermint plants, and we're going to grow this out. And this is going to be a different kind of thing. We'll talk briefly about this. Yeah, so all kinds of things we can do in the spring. It's very exciting. I'm thrilled, and let me direct you to why I am so thrilled. It's things like this. I planted these seeds. This is an Everglades tomato. I planted these seeds in another video y'all might have just seen recently, and in my seed starting for the A.D.H.D. brain, which I am way A.D.H.D. Can you tell? Sometimes you can, but that right there excites me. Seeing the green, seeing things like this aloe that's growing over here. I grow a lot of aloe here. We actually grow this for medicinal reasons, and that's another video. And you can check on my channel for that. But just seeing things growing and the green coming up and the promise of food God made these things want to grow and provide for us. We just have to do a little bit of TLC and get it going in the right direction to where we want it to go. If we let them just run rampant, tomato plant, real interesting. I think it's real. You may not think it's interesting. I do. Tomato plant, they will just sprawl all over the ground. And if they do that, you know what happens? The rats get in, they eat the tomatoes, it's a mess. And you can get some tomatoes out of it. But if we go out there and cultivate it, we put it up a trellis, we keep it off the ground, we take care of it. Some of them you have to trim off branches. Some of them you just let go rampant. If you do just a little bit with the plant, you can turn that plant into a mess, or from a mess into a plant that produces food for your whole family. And that is just so neat to me. Not even having to go to the store, just be here. Food's right there. We feel good about food in the cabinet or in the fridge. Well, this is just another place that food can sit in the garden. And I've got lots of gardens. I got lots of stuff growing. But let's get right into it and talk about seed starting. I'm going to clear this off so we have some working space here, and we'll take a look at specifically the first point, seed starting. So seed starting. First things first, if you're able to make a station for your seed starting. This is my station. This table fortunately gets to stay set up for a month or two if I can. We are hosting a little bit of a get together here at our house, and this whole room is going to change by tomorrow night, and it will. It's not a problem. We're set up for that. And then we have company coming, and it's going to stay changed. And then when company finally leaves, it's going to come right back to this because we got a lot of seeds to start. So if you can, make a place for it. Big Will Dog 82 in the Soil just did a series of videos on how to make a seed starting station, but specifically for someone who might be a little bit challenged with joint pain, back pain, any kind of disability, and making that seed station. So the elements that you'll need, one of the elements that you need is some soil, and that's what we have here. This is a unnamed brand. This video is not sponsored, people. This is an unnamed brand of seed starting soil. Now, seed starting soil is supposed to be inert or inert-ish. It may have a little bit of fertilizer, which this does have a little fertilizer in it. It's not supposed to have any weed seeds in it. I found a blade of grass growing in one of my other seed starts back here. We'll see that later. It's not black and white, people. Sometimes things happen. So we have a little bit of grace, and we move on. We pull the little grass out. In fact, let me pull out. I was just going to show you here. Here's my turmeric seed, which is not in seed starting soil. You can see I've been pulling out weeds all the time. Anyway, just because, how long did it take me to do that? There's 2 weeds that grew overnight. I'm fine. We're moving right along. Okay, so seeds. Yes, seeds. We talked about the turmeric and the ginger. We mentioned the peas. These are my mammoth melting sugar snow peas. Now, sugar snow peas, I love these mammoth melting sugar snow peas, but peas, they grow in cooler soil. You could actually stick them in the dirt not as soon as, say, 55 degrees, 65 degrees, somewhere in there. And yes, I actually have a soil thermometer I stick in the ground. And this thing, I think I said it was under $10 to someone recently. It's actually $18, $19 somewhere in there on Amazon. This is a 16-inch soil thermometer. I like the, 16. Did I say 16? I like the 16-inch because it does get the thermometer down there in the root zone of the soil, so you really know what it is. Those little short 6-inch ones, I don't have a practical purpose for a short one like that. So I just get this long one. I've been using this particular thermometer for many, many years. Cannot begin. It's got to be coming up on 6 years since I bought that thing. So things like this, the sugar snow peas, I'm not going to start in seed cups. I'm just going to go stick them out in the ground. They're going to go out here pretty soon. In fact, if I can get them today, I'll start them today. I don't think it's going to happen with everything that's going to go on in the house. Oh, another thing. We're going to talk about these. This is Mammoth Russian sunflowers, and I'm really excited to grow these. These are a little bit different. We're going to talk about those in just a few minutes. And yes, I just bought these at Ace Hardware, just our local Ace Hardware. They have these Livingston seeds. you can get your seeds from a lot of places. If you're just going to your big box store or to your local Ace Hardware or some favorite place locally, you might be limited in choice. And so you get what you can. But like, I know Mrs. Bowtie, she loves colorful bell peppers. She loves the orange, the reds, and the yellows. And so we're going to try to grow her some. There's some purple in here too. Wouldn't that be cool? We're going to see if we can grow some. I've grown them in the past, not this particular brand or type, but I've grown them in the past and we really enjoyed them. And it's one of those things I need to grow. And Mrs. Bowtie reminds me, when are we going to get more of those bell peppers? And so we're going to do that. You can also order seeds from online. And I order from a number of places. This one here, I'm a little excited because believe it or not, I know some of you regular content creators out there are probably going to be shocked to hear who this is from and to hear that I have never ordered from these people before. I don't know why, it just hadn't happened, okay? But I got this very special order, and I just opened it for the first time, so I haven't even looked in it yet, from Seeds and Such. And Nicole Smith Gardening, I saw she had ordered from them, and I wanted, in fact, here is the one I wanted. Oh yes, Lordy day, here we go. Dorset Naga hot peppers. This is the one I went looking for. I went and searched Google, and there were a few places, but I saw this place, and I had just seen Nicole had opened up her packages, and I was like, oh, I'm going to order from there. I've never tried them. I'm going to do it. Folks, this is my first mega hot pepper. We measure the heat on a pepper on the Scoville scale, and the Scoville of a jalapeno is 3,000 to 5,000. So that kind of gives you a little idea how high a cayenne pepper is. Typically 30 to 50,000. Habanero gets up into the hundreds of thousands. This thing, okay, I'm afraid to even touch the package. And by the way, if I grow it, I gotta eat it. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see me eat one of these things. But the heat on these things is rated between 800,000 and 1.6 million. Now, that's a big range, yeah. The longer you leave it on the plant, the hotter it will get. And I tend to leave my peppers on there a long time. So you may get to see a video of me passing out from eating a hot pepper. It hadn't happened yet. My vein pops out. I sweat a little bit. Gary, you know what I'm talking about. I do sweat when I start getting stuff like this. In fact, Gary, if you watch this, you might want to come and try these with me. He doesn't like the hot stuff. So I'm kind of playing with him. So yeah, we're going to be planting some of these out. Sun gold. I'm so excited. We need sun gold. Now, sun gold, okay. And folks, I'm really trying to overview a lot of terminology here throughout this video. So sit back, relax, kind of soak it in. If you want to take notes, great. There's some terms here that I've learned early on and have learned that they are very important. One of the things that we look at is whether something is an heirloom or a hybrid. And if I go down here, that is a hybrid. I'm sure to have an heirloom in here somewhere. Basil, purple ruffles, tomato, saucy lady. Oh, that's not one that I ordered, but okay. The mammoth melting sugar snow peas. This is an heirloom. What heirloom means is you can plant it out there. It can grow. It's going to make seeds, like the peas. You're eating the seeds, of course. It's going to make those seeds, and you can save those seeds and plant them next year, and it's going to come back the way you would hope because you enjoyed them the previous year so much that you saved those seeds. And seed saving, oh my goodness. Save yourself hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Save seeds. Seed saving is just amazing. However, this thing is a hybrid. Now, what hybrid means, this is a combination of genetics from multiple tomato plants. 2, 3, 4. Hybrid is kind of a term that we say, just know that if you collect a seed from one of these tomatoes and try to plant it, you don't know what you're going to get. You may get lucky, but chances are you're not going to get lucky. It's going to come up, the seed will come out as one of the parents of these seeds. And so you got to be careful with when they say hybrid, saving seeds. I actually have a whole bunch of hybrid seeds saved, and I plant them occasionally, and they never They never work. I've never had one work the way I wanted it to. So I'm less likely to save seeds. I'd actually forgotten I'd gotten these Sun Gold. Oh my goodness, it's one of the best little grape cherry or grape. It's a slightly larger size. It's an orange tomato. Delish. And so we got some of these. We can't save the seeds, which means I have to order them again next year, but they are worth it. These, what did we got here? Hybrid sweet corn, peaches and cream. I'm going to grow some of this year. I'm a little excited about that. We'll have to, I hadn't done peaches and creams before. Packet of 125 seeds. There should be plenty for my thing. It is a hybrid though. Can't save the seeds. Just know it ahead. Don't even, I mean, you could, by all means, experiment. I encourage experimentation. I do it all the time. I can look at this tomato, Saucy Lady. This was actually a free packet. I didn't order this. Seeds and Such sends out free packages. And you can go and ask Google, tomato, Saucy Lady, is that a hybrid or a heirloom? And it'll tell you. Google will tell you. And it's great. If Google doesn't know, it'll give you a link to a site that'll tell you which it is. This is herb, basil, purple, ruffles. Ooh, purple ruffles. Oh, I remember seeing that. This one was kind of pretty. Okay, so that's seeds that we're going to be planting today. Now, and really what I want to talk about is, first, under seed starting is seed starting trays. Now, these are those cheap Jiffy trays. And one of the biggest things that really bugs me is all the plastic that us gardeners go through. And plastic is, I hate polluting the earth. So you know what? I've been using these same plastic trays going on 6 years now. I have a bunch of them, okay? You can use these over and over, people. It's okay. And take care of them and be gentle with them. Don't be crunching them up and leaving them out in the sun. It's just, you create less waste if you can just, take care of things. Take care of your things, right? Just like Mom and Dad used to teach us. So, yeah, I use these a long time. Another thing that I do, I have gotten some of these trays. I do have cheap trays right here. I do have the Jiffy tray. This is we've all seen these Jiffy kits in the store. It comes with this. It comes with humidity dome, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. It comes with enough trays to fill that. We've all seen these things, right? And these things are cheap. They can last a long time. 2 rules. I've already said them. Take care of them. Don't leave them out in the sun. They will get brittle out in the sun after a few seasons. So they always stay here in the Florida room, which gets warm. I don't put them in the garage where it gets hotter. That's all. Just take care of them. It's a good thing. I do have other stuff. Well, we'll talk about this on the solo cup section. I did set an extra table out here so I could spread out for the duration of this video. So, seed starting trays. I am going to pick, and yes, I'm too excited about this Dorset Naga hot pepper, folks. Hot chili, if you're in England. They call these chilies. There are not a lot of seeds. It says a packet of 5 seeds. I am going to open this. I hear angels. I have been working my way hotter and hotter each year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure enough, folks, there are 5 seeds in here. Yep, there are 5 seeds, and I need to be careful because when I do this, I have a tendency to drop seeds on the floor. There is a seed on this floor right now. You saw it in that seed starting for the A.D.D. brain video. I know. Oh, Lordy day. Okay, so we're going to just start 1 packet of these. So I'm only going to use 1 of these little trays. Now, this soil, this is a seed starting soil. We're going to be using a potting soil in a few minutes. The difference between them is a seed starting is more sterile. There's fewer things in there. It's supposed to be fungus-free, bacteria-free, and all this other stuff. It's supposed to be the perfect environment for a seed to say, hello, and get born. That's what we're looking at. And so, I have a cup in here. Really, I'm just wanting to get soil in these things, and, I mean, that's simple, right? There's nothing to that. And so we put that in there, and I was there. It was hard for me to get started. I was scared of, am I going to do it wrong? And you know what? If you do it wrong, order more seeds. If you do it wrong, get better soil. If you do, there's so many things we can do, and we can redo this. And in fact, a few years ago, when we first moved into this house, I had planted 216 chili pepper, hot peppers in these seed starting trays. 3 full trays of them. I killed every single one of them. Every one of them. And that was my 3rd year of gardening. So I'm like, what have I done? And I had to fix my routine and fix my processes. But it's okay. It's okay. You're going to have failures. The only difference between a beginning gardener and a super duper advanced gardener is the number of plants they've killed. That's it. Yeah, really, it is. I'm sitting here pressing in on this just to kind of make sure there's no air pockets in here. And if you do it with your finger, you're gonna, when you rub your eye, if you rub too hard, you'll hurt yourself. Don't don't press that hard, okay? About the same you would rub your eyes, about how hard you want to press this. Not very hard. You're just making sure there is no air no air pockets down in there. And I can see there was a little bit of air pocket in that little cell. And occasionally, again, folks, it's not perfect. Occasionally you might need to pull out a little stick, and that's okay. It's still pretty good soil. It is a name brand soil that most people are familiar with. Again, I'm not sponsored here, so I have kind of got myself short of soil, and I had to go to the store. It's the first time I've bought seed starting soil in a bunch of years, so I was a little nervous about that. What on earth? Okay, so I filled these up. There's soil in there. They just patted them down a little bit, and these little things right here, those roots are going to grow down. They're going to come out the bottom. That's an indicator that they're ready to do something else that we're going to be talking about here in just a little bit. I know this video is going to go long, but just sit back, relax. So, I can already tell I'm missing something. My A.D.D. brain, I can make lists all day and there's still something missing. I need a place to put these seeds so that we don't drop them on the floor again. If you saw that other video, you saw I lost one of the few seeds I had of whatever that was, and I was a little dismayed, but it happens, and you can always order more seeds. But if you save your seeds, you'll end up with a lot more. Case in point, how about this? Case in point, loofah. I planted 5 loofah seeds. Got 45,500 loofah seeds. That's a lot of seeds. In fact, Chad, if you're watching this, if you want more seeds for those seed swaps, let me know. So I am actually going to dump these seeds onto this nice little plate. I see 5 separate seeds, and I'm very happy about that. I'm wondering, is that 2 stuck together? It is not. Okay. Woo, see, I dropped that. 5 little itty bitty seeds. That was it. That was a whole packet of seeds. 4 or I forget how much they are. They're all the same price, but 5 seeds. Yeah, that's not a lot of seeds, is it? This is a seed that I've been wanting to start for a while. And so, come in here. Oh, see there? See? Ha! I knew it. Doggone it. So you saw me lick it, get a little bit of moisture on there. There's that seed on the end of this is a metal chopstick. You just set it in the soil. Come on, get off of there. I licked it a little much because I panicked. You can lick it. I don't mind the soil. A little bit of biodiversity in the digestive system, that's okay for me. If you want to, you can get a little bowl of water and dip your chopstick in the water. That's just a personal thing. I'm kind of a messy kind of guy. It's just how I am. So there's 3 seeds in those 3 cells, and there we go, folks. We have 5 Dorset Naga seeds in the soil. I am so excited. Can you see those little white dots in there? I know you can. And so 5 little little seeds in there. This one does not have a seed. Not gonna work. Oh. I'm gonna surprise myself with a basil. Yes. That'll surprise me. See if I can get a single. There we go. I don't have my glasses on, but I see I have a single seed on there. I'm going to put that in there, and like I said, I'll surprise myself. That'll be a fun little, and it's in there. I don't see it on here, so that'll be a fun little thing. It'll also be an obvious difference because it'll grow faster, I'll say, oh yeah, and I'll go back and look at this video because these videos are my journals of what I'm doing. I do look at my videos quite a bit. Sometimes I'll just have them playing in the background while I'm getting ready in the morning. But that was a little itty bitty teeny weeny seed. These basil seeds are just microscopic. These pepper seeds are small. The next thing that we're going to look at here is now I need to put just a little bit of soil on top of those seeds. Those seeds need to be in full contact with the soil because that soil is going to soak up the water from the bottom. Yep, we're going to bottom water. It's going to soak up the water from the bottom, and we're going to talk about that. That's the last thing on my outline. And it's going to, through capillary action, it's going to put water on those seeds. And once that water starts touching the shells of those seeds, they're going to break open. Those little cotyledon leaves are going to, cotyledon leaves. That's those first leaves that come out. They're actually part of the shell of the seed. Those cotyledon leaves will pop up, and then it's going to start growing the plants inside there. It's a very exciting process. I love it. Yeah, it blows me away. Now, these are very small seeds. So typically what you're going to do is you're going to bury that seed about twice the depth of the width of the seed. So these seeds are, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or less. And you can actually look at the back of the seed packet. And of course, I don't have my glasses. So I can look here and say, somewhere in there, it tells me to put it like just a smidge under soil. It's going to be about 1/8 of an inch. If your packet, I think it says it there, but I can't read. Oh, there it is. Yeah. It says 1/4 inch deep in shallow containers. Okay, 1/4 inch. That's about what I'm going to put in here. Now that basil seed, I know it's an even smaller seed. It probably barely even needs to be covered. So on that little cell, I'm going to just barely cover it. And in these other cells, I'm going to give them more than 1/8, less than 1/4 probably. Now, hot pepper seeds take a long time to germinate. They say here, in fact, I can read that word. That's the purple basil. It says here 7 to 14 days at a soil temperature of 75 to 80 degrees. It's going to be indoors. It's going to be pretty close to that. 7 to 14 days. What's that in metric? That's like 1 to 2 weeks in metric, I think. So we're going to go through. I know. We're going to go through here, give it just a little bit of soil right there. And I want to make sure it needs to be more than 1/8 of an inch. It can be. Those seeds know what they're doing. They're going to pop up the cotyledon leaves off the top. They're going to stick their roots down in the soil and reach for water and more nutrients. Now that seed actually has a lot of the nutrients it needs to get to that point where those 2 cotyledon leaves come up. We're going to talk about what those things back there need here in just a few minutes. So yeah, I'm trying to give just a real good overview of my seed starting process here of what happens throughout the spring as I'm getting these things started. Now I'm being a little more meticulous than usual because I'm on camera right now and I'm going to be scrutinized by the pros that are so far ahead of me that, that actually looks, and I'm patting it down and making sure that soil, you don't want to mash it down, folks, just gently pat it and make sure that soil is in good contact with the seed. We're going to water this in a little bit later. There is one other thing, one more step, folks, that has to be done at this point. There it is, folks. Be sure and label your little trays. Guarantee, I don't care how good your memory is, you're not going to remember what's in that little seed starting tray. So I put on here Dorset Naga, which is what it is. I put today's date, yes, 3/5 of 2025, and SNS, that stands for Seeds and Such, tells me where I got those seeds. If they're seeds I saved, that would say harvest. That Dorset Naga tag, I'm going to stick into the end here, and then we will water that here at the end. These tags that I am using, someone asked me about them, and I think I've said before in videos, I actually use my old Almond Breeze almond milk jugs. These jugs seem to be UV resistant. In other words, these tags sit out there in the hot Florida sun year after year after year, and I reuse them. All these tags were tags, I think these tags are probably in their 3rd year of use, if not 4th. In fact, I haven't cut a tag like that in many years. Maybe 4 years, and you can see it is still just as flexible as anything. I do like the little bit of a curve That little bit of a curve kind of protects the ink from the sun. The ink I am using right now is the Sharpie Extreme. It's supposed to be more weatherproof. They seem to last through the season, which is nice because I set them out in the sun and they start to fade, ready for next year. I don't even have to do anything to them. So I reuse these labels all the time. Another reason I think that these are UV stable, if you look in the raised garden bed tour, you can see I have some on top of the arch trellises that actually keep the shade cloth off of the arch trellis up top. And they've been there for years. They don't seem to break down. So something's special about that plastic, and keeping it out of the landfill is something I enjoy doing. Okay, so there's our Dorset Naga seed starts. How's that? Let's try, we're going to do 2 other ways to start seeds. And look at those. I got to find a place to put this. I have a tray. Oh, here it is. No, that's not the one. 1, 2, 3. I am missing 1 tray. With my ADD brain, there's lists and lists that I can make, and I still forget. Oh, did I just say that? Do you ever feel that way? I know I am diagnosed adult A.D.H.D. and folks, now I am never going to discount YouTube. There are so many people out there that give great information, and you can learn a ton. I call it YouTube University. I learn stuff all the time. I'm a handyman. I go to do a job that I've never seen before. I go to YouTube. It shows me how to do it. I've got enough information in my brain to figure out how to do things like that. We go look at these beautiful gardens, and don't get me wrong, I love looking at beautiful gardens. If you haven't seen Garden Answer or Gardening with Creekside, they're amazing. I love what they cover. Almost every single day they're putting out amazing content, and I love watching those things. But my brain is not that organized. My brain just has difficulty going to all that extra effort. And you can go, and if you want to go to that extra effort, make those straight lines. I know there are people that need that, and that's legitimate, people. There are people that need that organization. I don't need the organization. I just need to figure out how to get the seeds in the soil as quickly as I can to get something out of them. So that's where my brain is. So anyway, I'm here to encourage anyone who, one of the things I really hope, someone that feels like maybe they can't do it because their brain doesn't work right. Oh, we can all do it, people. We can all do it. It's okay. A little frustrating some days, but you can do it. All right, so I'm going to set this down over here. And we're going to come back to that in a little bit later when we water everything. The second way I want to talk about seed starting is with these solo cups. Now, plastics. I know. Talked about it already. All these plastics going into the landfill. Well, we host a monthly gathering here at our house, and we use solo cups as our drink cups. These are all recycled. These will get used. I have solo cups over there that I have used for many years. No sponsorship, it's just what we use. I have used for many years. Occasionally they get brittle. Occasionally they get left out in the sun. That's the biggest problem. But I try to take care of them. You can take care of your things, they'll last longer. Solo cup, though. If we're going to start a seed in these solo cups, first thing that's important is to get some drainage in the bottom. Now, I do like the clear cup, and it doesn't have to be solo. There's other cups out there. I love the clear cups because you can see the roots developing. When this thing starts filling up with roots, you know this thing is ready to go on to the next stage. Which the cool thing about this is most plants, if you start seeing roots developing and they're filling this thing up, they're ready to go out in the garden. Ready. Just make sure your soil is the right temperature. And that's nothing to be majorly concerned about. Get that temperature thermometer, push it down in there. Say, okay, is it 70 degrees yet? Great, I'm putting it in there. You dig a little hole, you pop it out of there, put it in there, boom, you're done. It's as simple, it literally, folks, is as simple as that. We'll talk about that at a later date. But first thing you need to do, though, is get some kind of drainage in the bottom of these holes. And you can actually go through here and actually cut a little bit. Now, don't cut towards your finger like I did. I'm a handyman. I'm not that smart. So you can cut a little hole in there. That's a drainage hole, people. It doesn't have to be a lot. That's actually enough. One, I don't know, what's that, about a 1/4 inch in size? You can cut little corners off. If you want to make sure that you're cutting enough off, make one on either side. And there's a little tiny slit right there that the water will drain. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it that I have found easier than the knife, certainly a little safer. Yeah, this is our kitchen scissors, and I'll come in here and I'll just cut couple little pieces off there, and there's 2 nice holes in that cup for drainage. That's fine, okay? It'll work just fine. Now, I am a handyman. If you've got someone with the tools in your life to do this, by all means, do it my favorite way, and that is with a big tool. It doesn't have to be a huge drill bit like this. Someone commented, that's a big drill bit. You can buy these at the hardware store. You don't have to have a license. Please be careful. Don't be sticking your finger on the end and turning it. Just be careful with it. They do make shorter drill bits. This is just something I had to use one day on a job, so I had it left over. And yes, I see here, I turn it on. And now every single cup in the pile has a hole in it. Just perfect. That whole pile is ready for seed starts. Whew, you can actually look through it. Anyway, so just make sure there's a drain hole. You don't want your plants to get waterlogged. Very important point. So, get back here, pull the tray out. We're going to plant something in one of these. In fact, we're going to plant a couple of somethings in one of these. We are going to plant, oh, I'm so excited. This sun gold tomato. Folks, if you haven't had sun gold, Lordy day, these things are amazing. Now, one sun gold seed, if you can get it to start, you can actually start 10 plants off of that. So stay tuned. It's going to be in the raised garden bed tour. If we get these things to grow, which I'm sure we will, I will show you how to turn one plant into multiple plants. It's very easy, okay? We'll talk about that. Subscribe, follow along. That's in it. We do 3 garden tours a month. The first one is the front and side. Second one is the outer garden tour. Third one is the raised garden bed tour. These will be in the raised. In fact, most of these seeds will be in the raised. We grow other things in the other places. So these seeds, now this is a cherry tomato, folks. So these seeds are extremely small. And I am going to use my now clean plate, and we're going to pour just a few of these out. I don't want to pour it over the little sticky top. I love these packets, by the way. Seeds and such. These are awesome. They seal back up. So I'm going to dump out just a few of these seeds. Okay. So there's 5 seeds sitting right there. It says this packet has 15 to 20 seeds, which, yeah, looks about right. These seeds are very expensive. I saw Greg over at Haas Tools. He's the owner over there at Haas Tools. He had a bag of these in his hand. He says, and it was just a little bag in his hand. He said, folks, that right there is $20,000 worth of seeds. I couldn't believe it. That was amazing. These people are smart. They're not going to overprice them because they need to compete with the other people, and other people are going to compete with them. So they know they need to price their seeds properly. But anyway, so now tomato. Tomato is very interesting. It's kind of a unique thing. There's not a lot out there that does this. But as a tomato grows, in fact, we have a tomato right here. As a tomato grows, you'll see that the stems, they look like they have little hairs on them. And they will actually, now those hairs don't turn into the roots. Those hairs are more for defense against pests. It's hard for some kind of pest to climb up it, I guess. I don't know. But if that comes into contact with more soil, then it's going to start putting out new nodes and making more roots. More roots means it can feed more. More roots means it can grow more. More roots means it can make more fruits. And so that's kind of an exciting thing. There's a little bit of controversy on how effective those additional roots are, but this much roots, which eventually this is going to be filled this much. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But this much roots is going to be really effective for a tomato plant. And so what I do with my tomatoes is I just put a little bit of soil down in here. And by the way, this soil is damp. If I go like this, you can see it kind of holds its shape, but it's no water came out. I actually keep these buckets with a little bit of water during seed starting, and you can see it's a paint bucket. If you come across a site where they are painting a big building, which we have condos all over the place here in Destin, Florida, If you see them painting, they got buckets left over. They're just going to trash those things most of the time. Go in there and ask somebody, say, hey, can I have a dozen of those buckets that you've got sitting over there, the empties? And I've never had them say no. And so I'll go grab them. I'll spend some time cleaning them out. I have a utility sink in the garage. I sit there, clean them out. And yes, there's paint that goes down the drain a bit. And if you turn your water on hot and just let the water run for a while, and I've never had any problems with clogging, so it'll clear out. But anyway, so if you ever need buckets, it's a great way to start. Some of you know that I actually started growing in buckets. Let me see if I can find a picture here from our first patio garden in the apartment with all kinds of buckets. I think I had 30 or 40 buckets. In fact, by the end of this season, where this picture came from, I had 31 tomato plants in 31 buckets that I had procured. Some of them I had bought. I didn't know about this idea at the time. Anyway, I digress. Squirrel, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is we are going to just go in here and we're going to put a little bit of soil in the bottom. I don't know, an inch of soil in the bottom. Because when I go in here, take another cup, just tap it down a little bit. A little more. That's a little more than an inch. That's okay. This stuff is not cheap, so, keep that in mind. You don't want to just fill the whole thing with this. I'm going to, in the next point here, I'm going to talk about what I do to save some money on seed starting soil, because now that's not quite enough there. Let me put a little more in there. Yeah, inch and a quarter, something like that. Folks, don't make it rocket science. Don't make it a religion. Okay, and I'm just tapping it in there. This is a solo cup. If I push too hard, it's going to collapse on me. I'm just making sure there's no air pockets in there. That's it. Making a nice flat surface down in there. Now, I like to put it on top and put a little extra soil. If you want to make a little hole in it and do it that way, do it. The seed police are not going to come and arrest you. Just figure out your favorite way to do it. Experiment. I happen to like putting the seed there where I can see where it is, and I can cover the soil over it and know that it's still in the right place. Because sometimes if as you're covering it over, I don't know. I hate when the seeds move. Anyway, and it happens, trust me. So, all right, I have 2 cups. Actually, I should do a 3rd cup. See there? Another cup. We do like these sun golds, and we have been without them for a few years now. And so Mrs. Bowtie and I are very excited to be having these this year. Oh, so excited. Now, folks, these seeds, just a side point, and again, I'm talking mostly to beginners here. These seeds, they have a sell-by date on them at the end of the year, somewhere down here, and I can't read it. It says sell-by some particular date. I don't actually see it. Oh, there it is. Lot 101, guarantee item number. Somewhere on there, it has a sell-by date, and I do not see it at the moment. But that doesn't mean the seeds are bad, people. Tomato seeds will last years, especially if you've kept them in a dry place. Yeah, they can last years. Tomato seeds are great. There are some seeds like onion seeds. They don't last quite as long. They're a little more sensitive to time. I've had them germinate, like 10% germination. That means 10 out of 100 germinate on the onions the second year. So yeah, that happens. Keep that in mind. Most seeds will last for years. Everything I've got here in front of me will last for years. Sunflower, peas, bell peppers, tomatoes, chili peppers. Yeah, all of these will last a long time. So the only seeds that are guaranteed not to grow, people, are the ones that you never plant. So don't be throwing out your seeds. If I'm throwing out seeds, you know where I'm throwing them? I'm going to throw them in some soil and see if I can grow something out of them. It's just too great an opportunity. So I've got 3 cups. I have 5 seeds here. I'm going to put 2 in 2 of them, 1 in the 3rd one. And that will be that. Very simple process, people. I do like this idea with the chopstick. This is the first time I've done it this way. I probably will have me a little bowl of water next time I want to do this. Oh, come on. That one. There it goes. I saw it. I see it in there. Yeah. So I'm putting 2 into each of these left cups. I actually like that method. That's very cool because now I can see exactly where it's at. We're going to talk about thinning here in a minute and what happens if too many seeds come up here in a little bit. In fact, I'm going to want to move that one over to get it perfect because my OCD is kicking in today for some reason. It says, you got to get it right, buddy. Brain problems, they're so much fun. Anyway, so now these are small seeds. These seeds don't have to get buried very much. 1/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch. You don't want to put them too deep. You know, when we were kids and we plant that seed in school way deep and it didn't come up. Well, a lot of times we put it too deep. You put that seed way deep and it's not going to grow. It's going to run out of energy before it can break through all that soil. So that the amount of that soil that's on top of those seeds is important. And you just really need to make sure that it has enough to have full contact with the soil so that that water can soak into the shell of that seed, activate that seed to grow. And yeah, things like that, it happens. Sticks. This, folks, this is a name brand. This is a big name brand seed starting mix. We are not sponsored, so I'm not going to say it. I don't normally buy seed starting mix. Like I said, this is the first time I've bought seed starting mix in a number of years. But make sure that it's in full contact. I've probably put a tad over 1/8 of an inch of soil in there. It's not rocket science, people. These things want to grow. These things want to produce for us. Okay, so what's next? All right, class, if you're paying attention, you know we got to do the labels. And yep, there's those labels. Got to get those labels inside these cups so that we know what they are, because if we don't, guaranteed, A.D.D. or not, you're going to forget. You're not going to remember which cup is which. There's going to be so many of these cups. I mean, you can see there's a lot of cups in here. There's different stuff already growing back here. It's life, folks. It's just life. And so I'm going to add these to my little seed starting tray down here. We've got our little 6-cell tray, and we've got 3 cups now. All right. Not going to quite ready. And by the way, you'll notice the soil on these cups is about as deep as the soil in that little cell tray. So that's kind of the governor that I use to determine, am I putting enough soil in there? It's good. We're going to talk about what we're going to do with those here in just a little bit. Again, folks, it's going to be a long video. There is in the index, in the comments, there is an index of the video. If you want to click to certain parts of this video, do it. Make this your viewing experience. This is your video, okay? Make it your video. All right, next thing we're going to talk about, and we're going to plant something else in these kind of solo cups. We're going to do 3 of them. But we're going to do sunflowers. We've been wanting to get back to sunflowers for a long time, and I'm excited to have these ready to go this year. I've got plenty of sunflower seeds. These are the Mammoth Russians. They're supposed to grow enormous, 12-inch diameter flowers, many feet tall. I can see the number. 10 feet tall. How about that? And that doesn't mean they're going to grow exactly 10 feet. Some of them might be 6 feet. Some of them might be 12 feet, 14 feet. Let's see what we can get out of these things. Germination, 7 to 14 days, or in metric, it's 1 to 2 weeks. So it's going to take a while for these to grow. Now, folks, these are not like tomatoes. Actually, they might be. They might grow additional roots up the stem. But I'm actually going to plant these in a full cup because I'm going to put them in here. They're going to be in here for a week or 2. I want them to develop lots of roots. I don't want to have to add soil to these. So I'm going to do this a wee bit different than we just did those tomatoes. All right, get this out of the way. I'm about to have a mess back here if I'm not careful. So if I use all of this expensive seed starting soil to fill these whole cups, I'm going to run out of it pretty quick. Now I bought 2 small bags. That's all our Ace Hardware had was these small bags. So I bought 2 of them, and it was not cheap. It's not. What did I pay? $30? I think it was under $30. So what I have here, and I will tell you the brand on this. This is potting soil. Now, potting soil is a little bit lower quality in the soil. You'll find a lot more chunks in them, a lot more undeveloped things in them. And let me tell you, folks, if you start buying different brands of potting soil, you will see a variety of quality that will shock you. It's shocking, the difference in the quality of the different types of potting soil. Now, this here, in fact, here's a good use for this little plate. You can see this is quite a bit chunkier. You can hear it, the chunks falling on the plate. Okay, this is chunkier. Now, this is from Lowe's. There's no sponsorship, by the way. This is the Stay Green potting soil. And I bought a lot of different kinds of potting soils my first 2 years of gardening. And I discovered some consistency in the Stay Green potting soil. And then Gardener Scott, another great channel. If you're not watching Gardener Scott, he is amazing. Master gardener, just shares information, especially for the beginners. Really great place to start. But he did an experiment a year or two ago with different kinds of soils in his green stalks, and he found that Stay Green was pretty good for him. It worked pretty well for him. So I was like, yeah, I win. So anyway, that was an exciting day when he kind of concurred with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fill these things up, not all the way, because I still want just a little bit of that seed starting soil in the top for these. But I'm going to fill it up over halfway, and then we'll put just a little bit more of the seed starting on top, and we're going to put those sunflower seeds in that seed starting soil. But this way, woo, we save a lot of money on seed starting soil. Pretty good. It's not rocket science, folks. Don't make it a religion. Oh, I don't know if you saw Charles Dowding's interview with Enoch over at the Urban Gardener. It was really good, and in case you don't know who Charles Dowding is, he's like the godfather of no-dig gardening, and he kind of expressed his dismay at how some people make no-dig gardening a religion and go so far and make it such a strict thing, they overlook some of the other benefits of no-dig versus dig gardening. Another great channel, Charles Dowding, the Urban Gardener, friend of mine. In fact, I don't think this video will be out in time. I'm hoping to be on there briefly this Saturday, which is, what is this? Good grief, 6th, I think it's March 6th. I'll be on there for just a few minutes at the beginning. It's a great show to watch on the weekend. Listen to it, watch it, participate in the chat on these lives. Get in there on the lives. Fantastic group of people in the chat. So, all right. We've got plenty of potting soil. And these buckets come with great lids. So if you end up getting a bunch of these buckets, get plenty of lids to go on them. They seal up. Out here in the Florida room, we get insects. They lay eggs. That actually helps the purity of the soil for a while. They will eventually get in there, but I've had these buckets of soil last a long, long time, and they actually stay moist. I really like that about it, because it's very cool, because they'll stay ready for you to go. Remember I was talking about having a seed starting station? Well, my ADD brain, I'm sitting in there doing something, or I'm at the desk, or I'm doing something, whatever. I say, oh, I got to go plant that, and I'll run out, and everything's set up. I just get it done. It's great. It's great. So, yeah. Find ways to, especially if you have A.D.H.D challenges like I do. I was diagnosed many years ago and have learned a lot about it. Now, I only put, I don't know, a little over a 1/4 inch in there. Yeah, didn't put much, maybe 3/8 of an inch. I didn't put much. I just want to have really good quality soil in the zone where that seed is going to sit so that it will germinate. Yeah, that's about the same. It's kind of hard to see. You probably can't see it on camera, but I can see it. There's the soil level there, the potting soil, and that's, of course, the level of the seed starting soil. So, now I am going to put, oh, I don't like these Livingston packages. Oh, they don't seal back up. Yeah, that's one thing that, again, no sponsorship, of course. One thing that kind of bugs me is some of these places, they put their packets in soils that don't seal up, And so I end up going and getting a Ziploc bag or something to put this in so they're not spilled everywhere. My seed basket, it's got some random seeds in the bottom. I think they're cantaloupe seeds. I don't know what they are. They're probably going to sit there for the next 10 years. But you can see that seed is pretty good size, right? Okay. And I'm going to just drop it in there, put it on top. I'm going to do one for each of these. I'll be planting some more up later. Right now, the soil is a little bit cool for these. And so I'm not going to want to put it, I'd love to have a head start on these of a week or two if I can. That would be awesome. And the cool thing is, as big as these things are going to grow, they got plenty of soil. I'm not going to have to do anything but water and occasionally feed these seedlings. And we're going to talk about feeding here in just a little bit too. Yes, last item, watering and feeding. So stay tuned. We'll get everything covered. Long video. If you want to skip ahead, please do. I will get a Ziploc bag for this and put that in there and make sure that those seeds don't go everywhere. What's the next thing we have to do with these? Say it together with me, class. You know, I have a list. My A.D.D. brain skipped a step. What's the step I skipped? I got to put soil on top of these. Not much. Now, these are much bigger seeds, so they will take more soil on top than, say, those tiny, tiny, tiny Dorset Naga seeds or those tiny, tiny, tiny sun gold seeds. So you can see I'm adding quite a bit more on top of these. That one was probably a tad too much. A tad. I'm not going to panic about it. If they don't grow, I'm just going to plant another seed. I got plenty of them there. All right. Now, what's the next step, folks? Say it with me, class. Make labels. Yes, always make your labels. Don't forget it. I'm going to stick those in each one of these. The labels on these say Mammoth Russian 3.5 of 2025 Livingston. I don't use a lot of Livingston seeds, so I spell that one else. If I just did live, I'd be live. I would forget. So Livingston it is for my brain. Another piece of information that I'm going to try to remember to put on those tags this year is the date I plant them out into the garden. I think it was Nicole Smith actually did that, and I was like, oh, I have got to remember to do that this year. All right, so here we go. Another 3 cups of seeds out. And with that, we're going to move on to the next part. And that is going to be thinning seedlings. Now, you can see in there are 3 tall plants and 1 very short plant in this one little cup. Now, this is an Everglades tomato. Everglades grow crazy, mad. They grow and grow and grow. I could leave all 4 of those plants in there, and I would probably be just fine when I actually plant this out. It would really, it would probably be just fine. But I have been trying to do a little bit better at thinning these seedlings. What that means is those 4 plants are going to be developing roots in the same area as each other, which means there's 4 plants competing for resources in those 4 areas, which means they're not going to grow quite as much. They're not going to create quite as much fruit. And so we want to give them as much chance as we can. Now, folks, I have way more Everglades tomato seeds than you can possibly imagine. I grow these things here in Florida. They go crazy. They grow rampant. They're awesome. And so I don't have to worry about losing the seeds. Now, if it were those Dorset Naga and they were growing multiples, I would really cringe having to thin those, which is why I only put 1 seed in each one of those little cells. So anyway, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and get these over here. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to go down here and clip off, number 1, the small one down there, because it is least likely to develop. All these other seeds were in better condition and they're doing better. Now I've got 3 others here. In fact, can you see that one at the bottom? That one has helmet head. That's the casing of the seed still stuck to the end of its leaves. That's the cotyledon leaves, those first 2 leaves. You can see all the others have those big cotyledon leaves, those little tiny things coming out. Those are the real leaves, the true leaves for the tomato. Eventually, those cotyledon leaves are going to fall off and not be important anymore. But I want to get that helmet head off of there, and I want to see how this one looks. Actually, I know what I'm going to do already. It is a little bigger, but because it got the helmet head, okay, there it goes. You can pull off that little thing, and it will let it go. This is not a necessity, folks. because there's multiples in here, it really isn't. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end up cutting that one off. Despite it being a little taller, it's a little deformed, and I just don't want to deal with that. The other two are spaced a little bit further apart, and so I want to leave 2 plants in here. And so I will choose to cut that one that had the helmet head and let it be. There it is. So thinning seeds, giving fewer plants more resources to grow. They will actually produce more. And I will have so many of these anyway. I'm looking through here. I've been thinning these. Oh yeah, this one has a third one coming way up over here by the tag. I am not even going to let that continue. We're going to pull that thing right out. You got to be careful pulling them out like I just did, because if they're too close to each other, they'll already have entwined. And when you pull one out, you pull the other out. You want to clip. In fact, I'm looking at the other two. They don't look that great. This is an Everglades. I'm going to cut the shorter of these other two off simply because those roots, those seeds apparently grew up right next to each other, and that's just too close for my comfort. Now, at a later date, we're going to talk about separating out these things into different plants. In fact, if you go to my YouTube page, there is a video linked down there from Jessica Sowards over at Roots and Refuge. And she has a thing where she's sitting in her old greenhouse, and she's sitting there separating out seedlings and talking about how simple it is to separate those seedlings. That was my very first video on gardening that I watched that taught me something about being successful in the garden. And I appreciate what she created there in that video. Here's another one with 3. Again, Everglades. Everglades are prolific, people. In fact, last year, you might have seen in the garden tour, I had a cluster of them growing up over there. I think I saved 6 plants, and they were all kind of growing within a 1-foot area. They did fine. I think I could have done better if I had spread them out more, and I just wasn't in a position to do that at that time. But there's 2 plants. They're nice far apart, and that will be fine. The rest of these either have 1. Now this right here is my Super Sweet 100. That's a good cherry tomato. Yeah, I don't mind cherry tomatoes. I know some people don't like them, but there's another Super Sweet 100. Look at that one guy just growing up all by itself. There is a Principe Borghese. Yeah, those are good little cherry tomatoes. There's a Principe Borghese that's growing 2. This one on this side over here already has its true leaves starting. So just because these are special, I'm going to pop that off. These are, by the way, heirlooms. Bought these seeds 3 years ago, 4 years ago, probably 4 years ago. Same seeds I've had for 4 years. I'm still growing them. Don't throw away seeds if you don't have to. So this is another Super Sweet. 1 plant growing up. Oh, these things are great. I want that to be just that 1 plant to have full resources. So thinning seedlings, that's really all there is to it. It's just making sure that you have maximum resources going into those. Once these cups get dumped into the garden, they're going to be growing those roots out even more. So that's the next point. That was a short one. Nothing like seed starting, was it? Actually, we did 3 kinds of seed starting. So really, maybe we're going to just keep this step 2. Okay. Next thing, potting up or potting on, depending on what country you're in, your seedlings. And we get to a point where these seedlings are going to start growing, and they're going to outgrow their cups. In fact, remember this mint plant? This has so outgrown the cup. Look at the roots around that base. There are roots everywhere. This thing is ready to get out. Now, cool thing about mint is you can sit here, you can literally rip this thing apart, and I'm going to plant either 4 or 5 grow bags of mint out there from this. And we will have peppermint. Once again, I'm very happy because it's one of my favorite. The peppermint and the chocolate mint, I love them to make a tea. I'll mix them with a little ginger in the tea and brew. Oh, it's amazing stuff. So yeah, peppermint, that's ready to be potted up. I just bought this a couple days ago, but yeah, it is ready to go. It is ready to get out of this cup. I'm keeping it watered, and it'll be out here hopefully within a few days. But we want to pot those up or pot them on. I know some of you people say pot on the seedlings. And so these things here, they're not ready to be potted up. they're good. They still have a ways to go. We're going to talk about something else we can do with these here in just a few minutes. In the next point, yes, in the very next point, we'll talk about that. But we are going to look at another plant that we have coming. If you didn't see where I planted these lupin, it was very exciting. I tell you what, I recorded that video. I was almost trembling with excitement. I actually bought these seeds a little over a year ago. They were for last year. I got them from Seed Saver Exchange, another channel on YouTube. They teach some really good stuff. And I soaked them overnight. I'd never done that before. It's actually going to lead into our nasturtium seed experiment that's coming up soon. I soaked them overnight. Some of these seeds, the seeds on this end, were all soaked up and swollen up with the water. I was very excited. The challenge is these seeds, the package says that they will germinate in 14 to 21 days. Again, in metric, that's 2 to 3 weeks, I think. So I know I'm being silly. I stuck these things in, and a friend of mine actually tried to grow some of that same order, and he did not have success. So I would be very thrilled if we can get success with this thing. But in 3 days, folks, these things started to pop up, and look at them. They are looking good. You see those cotyledon leaves? In fact, let me come around and make sure we're focused. You see those cotyledon leaves on the bottom? Came out strong, and these are brand new true leaves, the real leaves of the plant that are starting to do photosynthesis. And incidentally, these are in a tray that's holding a little bit of water. This soil is very damp. What we're about to do, it helps if it's a little bit damp, I've discovered. For me, okay, I don't know, someone might do a little different. I will point out, look here, you see this? That is not a lupin. That is a grass growing in my name brand potting seed starting soil. So yeah, whatever. Now, because these seeds do take so long to germinate, we're going to talk about something in a couple of points. I'm going to let these sit in here longer. In other words, this tray is going to be taken up with these non-germinated lupin seeds for at least a couple weeks. I'm going to leave them in there. And so we'll move on with that. But I want to take these seeds, and I got to keep them in the same order because I want to make sure I know what is germinated. But we are going to pot these up. Now what that means is these things are starting to put on those true leaves. Whoo! Look at that root. I did not know that was down there. How cool is that? There's even a root hanging out there. Remember earlier I said when the roots come out, it's telling you something. It's telling you, hey, I need more space. That's what it's telling you. And so this is why we're doing this, folks. Oh, I'm so excited. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that thing has exploded. Oh my goodness, how are these others? Now I got to see. Oh my goodness, this one doesn't shot out any roots out at the bottom yet, but it's about to. It's getting ready to. It's probably wrapped up inside there. And then this third one, our fifth one over here, it doesn't have any coming out, but it's telling you it needs more space. These apparently have some pretty deep roots. Those long tap roots are saying, oh, I got to reach for the good stuff. And we're going to give it some good stuff here in a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the soil out of one of these little things right here, and we're going to put it into one of these things so it has a lot more space to stretch its roots. So these seedlings have already started. It's gotten its need out of that special expensive soil. And so what we're going to be doing here is we are going to be filling these cups with potting soil. Because now this potting soil has a little bit of food in it. It does. It's got a little bit for those roots to start feeding on. We're going to give it a little bit of extra something here in a little bit though. But we can go ahead and use this potting soil. It has enough developed nutrients in there for the plant that these little tiny seedlings will find something in there. So I want to get ready. 5 of these cups. Oh, I'm so excited about this. Now, I didn't talk too much about these, the dome cover on this. Maybe you saw how wet it is. This is a humid environment. It is a perfect environment for these seeds to start. I got one little vent open here, but It's the perfect environment for those seedlings to get started, obviously, because 5 of them are shooting up everywhere, plus a volunteer of something over there. I don't even know what that is. I'm so excited about that. This is just one of the neatest things. If I can get these things to grow and start having lupins in the garden, oh, that would be a coup. That would be awesome. Mrs. Bowtie would love these. They're purple. She likes purple flowers. And if I can save seeds from them, I'll never be out of them again. If they don't save seeds, maybe they'll drop seeds. I don't know. We'll have to see how it works. Be sure to subscribe. Have you grown lupins, by the way? If you have, tell me. What else have y'all grown? Are y'all growing? And have you done any of this kind of stuff? I'm curious to know. I love seeing stuff in the comments. It's amazing because, you know, someone just kind of takes for granted some little bit of information or something in their process, and then they share it with everyone else, and it's just like a revelation. It happens to me a lot more than you might think. So never be afraid to share those little bits of information that you have found useful in your seed starting arena. Okay, so I want to show you a tool here that I really enjoy using, and that is this icing spatula. Yes, I said icing spatula. This is what you buy at Walmart or the baking store to spread the icing on a cake. And I really like this tool a lot. It is a very useful tool for getting seedlings out of these little seed starting trays, because you'll notice that icing tool is about the exact same size as that tray. And in fact, I was commenting with Rob over at Rob's Allotment Gardening. He was having trouble getting one of his plants out. And I said, Rob, you got to get yourself an icing spatula. I don't remember what I said, but I mentioned it to him. I hope he sees this and he sees this. This is ingenious. Let me show you. Sometimes that soil sticks to the side of the seed starting tray. So you use this to kind of separate it a little bit. And I go down each side like that. And it will lift out just like that. Isn't that the coolest thing? And now, oh yeah, there's a lot of roots in there. Now that thing is ready to go right into that hole I just made, which is the right size because I used the same spatula. Now, okay folks, I'm always talking about how this doesn't have to be expensive. If you don't have one of these, don't panic. Use a butter knife. Use, Mrs. Bowtie doesn't know that how many silverware I take out of the kitchen, but yes, sometimes I will take silverware out of the kitchen and use that for seed starting. In fact, I've got one sitting over here somewhere right now, one of the cheap butter knives that will not be missed. And there you go. I packed that thing in. I didn't pack, I pressed it down, make sure it's all secure. But this thing is great. You make the little hole. In fact, let's do that again. I'm excited now. All right, so here we go. That soil is kind of packed in there a little bit. And again, don't pound it in there. Make it nice and fluffy because those roots want to find an easy path. You want to give them a good time, good place to grow. And so I use that spatula and you can kind of judge the cone shape of that cell right there. Make yourself a hole that's about the same shape and size, right? That looks about right, about the right depth. So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to do this one right here. Come in the side, and you can do this different ways. For me, this just works really good. I always do this for at least 3 sides of the cell. Lift it out like so. And look at that. Oh, there's that root. Did you see that pop out? It was ready to go. And I just set it down in there. Is that not the coolest thing? Spatula knife, butter knife, whatever. I do like something with a blunter end. I tried it with a steak knife, and it stuff fell off the end. I do like that better. But yeah, done. That easy, people. Okay, so I got the hole in the cup there. This is a long root. Let's see how this works with this really long root sticking out here. I'm kind of curious myself. And incidentally, these little 6 cell trays, I think I've only thrown away 2 of them in all the years I've been doing this. All the way down the bottom. This is going to be a little tricky. Let's see if it pulls that whole root out. Oh, it's sticking. I'm going to go ahead and loosen that 4th side. I'm being very gentle because I'm hoping that whole root comes. Look at that. Oh, isn't that a thing of beauty? Look at that. That is a dream right there. I'm going to use my chopstick, which I still have sitting here from an hour ago in this video. And just drop this down into that hole. And there we go. That right there is an absolute thing of beauty. Normally that root will come out if you're careful with it. They tell you don't grab it by the stem and yank it out. They say grab it by the leaf. That makes me a little nervous. My obsessive compulsive behaviors kind of kick in with that. And so I find that this, for me, it's a great thing. So the labels go in, and we have our lupins growing. They're a purple flower, beautiful flower. Anyway, so that's potting up. It's very simple. Don't make it into rocket science or a religion, people. All the roots came out perfect on every one of them. I was so very excited. That excites me. So potting up those plants, that's what there is to that. Again, not rocket science. Don't make it rocket science. Another thing, the next thing I want to talk about here, and we're coming down to number 4, is adding soil to, in this case, the tomatoes. Now remember, I was talking about these tomatoes and how they will grow additional roots up the stem. They will do that. It's very cool how they work. So what we're going to do when these start getting longer, these little shoots start coming out longer, and then we've got these under lights inside there, but they still kind of get a little longer. We're going to simply go in here and take a little bit of soil, and we're going to put it inside the edge very carefully. Now, you don't want to get the leaves all messed up, folks. Just kind of add gently a little bit of soil around that stem. That's all there is to it. Now, I'll be honest, it's a little soon to do this, in my opinion, but I'm doing it for the sake of the video because I think it's a very useful bit of information. I'm keeping that plant kind of off the edge if I can, but you do need to be gentle with it because you can break the stem. Right, Chad? Chad broke a stem on one of his competing tomatoes last year and was disqualified. So be careful with that stem, folks. And see, really all you need to do is have all the leaves stick. You don't want any soil on those leaves. These things, though, are getting to the point where they are just starting their true leaves. And so they can start, you can start doing this. My work process, normally I'm always trying to find easier ways to get around things and will create less work for myself. And so normally I wouldn't add at this point, but you can add that soon. Notice the leaves are sticking above the soil. There's no soil on the leaves themselves, and the leaves are above it. This will start settling in and will start developing new roots. You can do that with all these. You can wait till they get taller. Now this one here is one of the ones, it had a helmet head. I got the helmet head off. That's where the seed cap gets stuck on the leaves. I'm a little concerned, so I want to give it a little bit more support to get it off the side of the cup. And that is one thing that I've noticed with this process. If it gets stuck to the side of the cup, it can damage the leaf. It does, however, have the start of its new leaves coming out. And this is the one that I wanted to make sure to at least get some additional soil up here to get it encouraged to grow in the right direction. And I'm being very gentle, but we're adding slowly around the edges. As this gets taller, it gets easier and easier. You can see I went and got one of Mrs. Bowtie's spoons from the kitchen, but she doesn't know, won't hurt her. It'll get washed. Adding soil. That's another thing you can do with your tomatoes. That's one of the reasons why I grow them. Now, like that right there, that's not quite tall enough to add additional to. Here's a Principe Bourget, 2 Principe Bourgets that are getting pretty tall. This is the one I actually cut something out. No, I didn't cut anything out of this. This fell in here from another plant. Let me get that thing out of there. You're out of there, buddy. And there you go. Okay. They're getting a little taller. I can add some soil to that, and these are special ones for me. And I'm actually just adding potting soil. I'm not even using the seed starting mix. The seed starting mix has done its duty. I can actually just go in here and add potting soil. Has a little bit of food in here, and as we water, and we're going to talk about adding food another way here in just a minute, but as we water, it's going to get a little bit more food here in just a little bit. So it's growing up. It's getting bigger. Not quite a preteen yet, but yeah, he's there. He's figuring things out. He's figuring life out, figuring out where the sun is, figuring out where his life comes from. So these two Principe Borghese, there's a real short one. No, that's not the one. It's this one. Is that a Principe Borghese with two of them? It is. It's got two of them in there. That one is over there by the label. I need to figure out what I want to do with that. Principe Borghese. Yeah, here we go. This is the other one I wanted to do. I mean, you can remove the label for this if you need to. I hate removing labels because I forget to put them back in. But some days, you just got to remove a label temporarily. Now, I know I've been harping on these labels. People say, I don't need to know what they are. Folks, if you're growing different kinds and you discover that one kind of, say, tomato grows excellent in your garden, maybe because your microclimate is perfect for it, it just grows excellent. You want to know what that is so you can repeat it next year. If you're doing like some people do and growing 45 different types of tomatoes and that one just shot off, you're going to have to grow 45 different types of tomatoes and label to figure out what that one was so that you know what grows good in your garden. Principe Borghese grows great in my garden. The Sun Gold grows great in my garden. The Everglades grows amazing in my garden. Labels are important just for your own future success, and I can't emphasize that enough. So yeah, there we go. A little bit of soil added. These things are going to take off. So as we're coming here close to the end, I want to talk about cultivating one more thing in your garden. And this is very important. I've kind of been harping on it a lot this year. This is coming into our 6th year of gardening, of successful gardening is what I like to say. 6th year of doing this, and I'm really trying to work on my patience level. We get planting those seeds so early that we have no space to let those seeds continue to grow before it's warm enough for them to even go outside. I've seen people make that mistake and have plants so big that they either can't move around their house or they end up killing them and breaking a stem or something like that because they're so big when you get them out to the garden. And that really, it hurts me when I do that to myself, because I do. I make the mistakes. I get impatient. I have gotten impatient. I know it's a hard thing to do, to be patient. Another thing is like with these here. These are the tomatoes we planted in the A.D.D. special. This is, pineapple ground cherry. Oh, I really want these. Now, these are slower to germinate. So, yes, I'm going to be patient because these might take a week or two to germinate, and I'm going to let them be. This right here, now there's one other thing here. Hang on. Oh, they're all pineapple ground. Everything else is germinated. How cool is that? Okay. Pineapple ground cherry. I need to let those go a little longer, folks. I just need to because they need the extra time. We're going to put them in the humid environment. Now these lupins, these other lupins here that didn't germinate as fast. Now, folks, germination for these lupins was supposed to be 2 to 3 weeks. These things were up in just a few days. And so I'm going to give the rest of these lupins a chance. We're going to have patience. We're going to let them be. We're going to let them develop at their speed. And so actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of room here, put these Principe Borghese in the middle so that they can continue to have their growing time and humidity time, and hopefully we will get more production out of these seedlings. That's the hope. I would love to have those pineapple ground cherries. I've always heard they're great. Got to get them going somehow. Anyway, so really be sure to cultivate the patience. Don't get such a hurry that you dump everything out to go try again, and you end up seeing a month later those things are growing and dying in your compost bin because that's where you threw them. It's a lot of soil right there. I don't want to waste it. I probably, if nothing grows here in the next few weeks, I'm probably going to start some other seeds, which incidentally, everybody says, oh, you got to start your seeds by Easter, or you got to start your seeds by some particular date, Groundhog Day or whatever. And folks, I've started all my pepper seeds in the 22nd of July, June I think it was. I was months and months late. And it doesn't matter. You can start those when you get around to them, okay? There's ways to do things like this. So don't be stuck. This is why I keep saying, don't make it a religion, you know? This is not a religious ceremony of planting these seeds at the particular time. And for me, it just adds stress to my life. And as an ADD person, stress has a negative effect on my whole body. And so I don't want that. So we will continue with these. There is a little bit of moisture in here. However, I'm going to go in here and just add a bit to it because we're going to talk just a few minutes about watering. And I like to bottom water. Now, what bottom watering does is it's where you put a little bit of water in the bottom of the tray. And I'm already regretting this because now I have to carry this indoors. But you put a little water in the bottom of the tray like that, and capillary action will take that moisture and soak it up like a sponge into the soil, and again, keep that seed encased in moisture. Some of these seeds take a lot longer to germinate, and you just have to be patient and let them do their thing. I am trying to make room for these 4 cups, and there we go. So these will stay in here a little longer. Patience. I'm working on it, folks. I'm working on it. Listen to what I say, not what I do, right? Okay, and the other thing we need to water, we planted up some other things here. That's this tray, this tray right here. We got what did we put in here? We put up the sun gold, we put up the Dorset Naga. Remember, this video is getting long, I know. Got the Dorset Naga in there. These things, going through the same process. Actually, I can put these cups back in here, and they will be just fine because they will be among company, and I can take and put these back the way they were because I'm trying to keep these in the same order I had them so that I can remember what is what. Okay, good. So those are still soaking. These here, I'll put this little tray down the end so that the cover will fit over. Move them around. It's like Tetris, isn't it? Move them around a little bit. Make sure they fit. Make sure everything goes good. And then these new seeds that we just planted, here we go, folks. I am only going to bottom water them. Now, I'm going to put a little more in these because we've got some pretty full cups. Those sunflowers, remember those? And I want that moisture to soak up into those cups. And I can actually add a little bit to the top of those cups to help it out. Or I can let this thing soak a little longer. Now the problem with soaking a little longer, because the soil is moving, that seed is no longer at the same depth as when I planted it. That's one of the reasons why I don't like to top water. I will let it soak a little longer and leave it in our seed starting tray just a little longer to marinate, right? Just let it marinate a little longer. Editing Dave here. I wanted to interject here real quick that these trays that are soaking in the water, I do not leave these more than a couple hours. Sometimes they'll end up getting forgotten and they might end up in there for a few hours, which I don't like to do, but they will come out of this water pretty quickly, and I will put them in another tray so that they're not just soaking in water all the time. It doesn't happen like that. So there we go. Oh, that doesn't work that way. I got to get that cover on here. I do have that piece of aluminum foil that I was using earlier. I might just continue to use that for this particular tray. All right. One more thing we have to do, and we will be done with this video. It also has to do with watering. All right, folks, we're coming down to the very last part of watering. And watering is the last point I want to talk about in here. The bottom watering is really important. Another thing that that I have trouble with, and that is feeding the plants at the right time, which is one of the reasons. If you watch past years where I've done seed starting, you'll notice that I actually put a little bit of fertilizer in my seed starting soil. I did not put much this year, not much at all. And so it's a little bit different this year for me. But I want to go in here and I need to feed these because every one of these little seedlings is starting to put out their true leaves. Remember, we're talking about cotyledon leaves versus true leaves. Once those true leaves start coming out, they're looking for food. That's the sign that everything, almost everything, has been spent on the seed. The energy that was in that seed, everything is spent. It's ready to start its real life. This is kind of a crucial point in the development of the seed because it's the point at which it says, okay, is this a place I can live? It doesn't know. It's just ready to go. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this fish fertilizer. And I like this. Fish fertilizer is high in nitrogen. In fact, you'll always see the three numbers, 511, on this particular product. Those three numbers is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And they each do different things. The first number you'll notice is 551. The first number is higher. That nitrogen will actually help with green growth on these plants. And that's what these things need at this early stage in development. It's got a little bit of the other stuff, but it definitely has plenty of nitrogen to give these things a boost and get them going. And so they're little seeds, though. You don't need to give them a ton of anything. So we're actually going to, it says on this, need 2 tablespoons per gallon. And we have about a gallon here, actually a little less than a gallon, but we're going to use the rest of the water in here, and we're going to bottom water these plants right now. Now, fish fertilizer, folks, this is fermented fish goo. In other words, fish parts ground up, emulsified, and fermented in here. This stuff stinks, okay? Now, this Florida room gets a little bit of ventilation. It's okay out here. I wouldn't do this in your house. It gets a little stinky. So, door closed into the living room, right? Okay. I am going to put in here, and again, folks, this is not rocket science. Don't make it into rocket science. Don't make it a religion. First off, you do need to make sure this stuff is stirred. Make sure that lid is on good, of course, because it is nasty. This stuff does smell. Now, there is a non-smelly version of this, and I haven't tried that yet. One of these days, I'm going to find some, and I am going to try it. Oh, great. This seal. There we go. I am not going to use Mrs. Bowtie's measuring spoons for this. I'm going to eyeball. I've actually already shooken it up some, but I'm going to put, I don't know, about a tablespoon in there. And yes, it is goopy. It is not nice. Oh, great. And yes, it smells, people. This stuff smells. There is a non-smelly version of this, and I hear it is fantastic. Some of the people that I admire for what they do and teach really swear by it. I don't have any. I'm using what I have. And so I've poured some in there. I'm going to stir this up a little bit. And again, this is a little over half full, so it's okay. And I got my finger over the drain thing there, so it didn't come out. But that's very well emulsified, or well mixed up in there. And I am going to put probably a full inch of this goop in the bottom. Now, I did it weaker, a little bit weaker, and it is going to soak up into that soil. Now, think about what we've got here, folks. We have cups. Some of them are full. Some of them aren't. And an inch is actually quite a bit. And these little trays, I'll show you that here in just a second, but it holds these cups just right. And actually my floor is a little bit leaning, so I have to give it a little bit of a, whoa, that was too much. Not that much of a tilt. I can spin it around and get more down the other end. But remember, some of these cups only have so much soil in them. They don't have a lot of soil. And so if I just leave them in there, I don't want these plants to drown. So I will only let them soak like that for a limited time. And this is a very important thing with my ADD brain that I don't forget. that I'm going to need to pull some of these things out of here. Now, these things are soaking up nutrients that they're going to need to grow to their next phase of development. And I can see like this one over here is real low soil. I'm going to make sure it gets good soaking. And I will be coming in and out of here, pulling a few of these out and putting them in this other tray as time goes on. These are going back inside. I don't want this nasty tray full of this fish emulsion in the house. I really don't. It does leave a bit of a smell. With company coming over tomorrow night, Mrs. Bowtie will not be happy. I won't either. So we got to be careful. Now I do this tray that's holding these solo cups. I do want to show you. If you're at the garden center and you see where they have these things, this is what those little Bonnie seed starch comes in. If they're throwing these out, I got these from my Ace Hardware, and they were throwing these out at that Ace Hardware. I went and dumpster dove, asked them if I could. I went and dumpster dove and got me a selection of I think I probably have about 20 or 30 of these trays. The cool thing is they fit one of these 10, 20 trays perfectly. They're designed for that. So these are great for solo cups if you want to use them. I put this one in with the fish emulsion. I will have to rinse that really good after I'm done here. So probably in about an hour or so, cups like this will be removed that don't have very much soil. In 2 hours, cups like this that are really full will be removed. So I will be getting these things out of here. I don't know, these fuller ones may take 3 hours. I don't know. I just want them to get a good amount of that nutrient soaked up in there. And then what I will do is the leftover nutrient, I'm going to go water some of the plants outside. Probably throw them in the blueberries this time because the blueberries are getting ready to start going woo and give us some blueberries. So that's a little bit exciting. Anyway, I want these things to soak up an amount of that nutrient from the fish fertilizer, and they will just love it and start to grow. So that is everything I have on my list. I know this was a long video, and I hope you had time to just sit down and maybe get something out of little parts here and there, and maybe get ideas for different things you can do. Some of these things that I've talked about are things that I've learned over the years, and in my unique situation, they've helped me out. And I hope you found something useful for your growing. If you have, I really would love to hear it in the comments below, whether it's me that can find use out of it or someone else. Someone can probably find use out of just about everything. Not everyone, even if you've only been growing 1 year, after 1 year, you've learned a lot. There's someone starting out that may not have learned stuff. There's someone who's just starting out that may know something because their mama did it back when they were young or something, something similar. It's just hard to tell what little piece of information you have that might help someone else. So please be sure to ask questions and share your experiences in the comments below. And for all those of you who have subscribed, we are reaching new heights almost every single day on subscribers, and it's very exciting to see the channel grow. It's very encouraging to me, and I appreciate everyone that is subscribed and everyone that comments on the videos and everyone that comes back video after video and finds something new that can help you in your garden. I appreciate every one of y'all. Even if you're just watching, y'all have a blessed day.